Paul Dobson joins us, executive editor for Asia markets, but taking his lens globally. Paul, very good to have you with us today. Paul, let's talk a little about the broader themes in markets. We just had a conversation with Jean-Claude Trichet, of course, formerly of the ECB. He seems to be a little concerned around valuations in the United States in terms of stocks. We saw tech do really well yesterday. We're waiting for the earnings story, I suppose. That's the big focus for stock investors.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that will be the truth of whether those valuations really are stretched or not. You know, everybody's waiting to see whether corporates can deliver the high earnings expectations that the market has for them. There's every reason to be hopeful. The economy is looking sound. Employment is looking good. You know, manufacturing even has started to pick up again in the US. So whether those numbers can live up to those expectations will be a good determining factor for markets all around the world. But I guess the other thing you could look at is equities versus bonds, and with these higher yields, whether that makes bonds look a little bit more attractive. But the way that they've been performing recently and the outlook for interest rates and inflation doesn't really make that an appetizing switchover at this point.
Yes, you mentioned the higher rates story, Paul, and that takes us on to the ECB and divergence, actually, because, you know, the higher rates story, maybe that's been a feature of this week for the US and repricing around the UK story as well. But the ECB going its own way, decoupling from the Fed, it seems, able to make its own decisions. Where does that leave rates?
Yeah, well, it's our dollar, your problem. I think it's more a question of the FX markets than the rates markets here, Anna. That's why we've got the euro trading at the low for the year, because the US interest rates are just going to stay high. The Treasury yields are going to stay high as well. Everything else is trading at a little bit of a discount to that. That's putting pressure on those currencies. Might be benign for the euro, but for Asian currencies like the yen and the yuan, it's causing a big headache. And, you know, we've seen that going on for quite a long time already, but it's stresses and strains that are going to continue to rip through our markets next week.